Erin McAvoy is our next contestant. So her talk is Deflating the Marketing Balloon, Destroying the Lives of Irish Women. So Erin is a lecturer in marketing at Ulster. Her PhD looked at gambling addictions amongst Irish women and the impact of gambling marketing within this group. So a fascinating topic. Her thesis has pioneered research on women and their experience with gambling addictions across the island of Ireland. So please give her a very warm welcome.
I want you to imagine you're in Wembley, the largest stadium in the UK. As you look around at the sea of faces, you'll notice that every seat is full. That seems like a lot of people, right? Wembley holds 90,000, yet the number of people estimated to have a gambling addiction across the island of Ireland is double that figure, and that's a massive concern. Now I want you to imagine that a balloon has burst above your head full of gambling advertising. Everywhere you look, there's images all around you. It's inescapable. The island of Ireland is like the Wild West of gambling and addiction, with outdated legislation dating back to the 80s and a lack of research. And I can guarantee that when I mentioned gambling addictions, you thought of men. Although perceived to be a male issue, this couldn't be further from the truth, as thousands of women experience gambling harm every single day. And the thing is, we're marketed to all day long to buy this and to buy that. But what if we could take the idea of marketing a product to someone and instead try to de-influence them? This approach is known as social marketing, and it aims to prevent you from doing things like smoking and drink driving. We've all experienced social marketing before. If you recall the images of tumours on cigarette packets or the ban on smoking in public places. Now, what if with this approach in mind, we can map the journeys that Irish women go through when they experience an addiction and pinpoint the impacts of gambling marketing along that journey? Well, my name is Erin McAvoy, and that was the question of my PhD. I spent 20 months interviewing women across the island of Ireland about this issue. And what we found is at the beginning of their journeys, they're attracted to and encouraged to gamble through free bets and advertising. Now, once they enter addiction, gambling marketing no longer plays a focal role at driving these gambling habits. But once in recovery, gambling marketing was not only found to cause distress, and at times was also cited to be a source of relapse. One woman went as far to say that gambling marketing was the equivalent of posting a bottle of wine to someone who experiences alcoholism. Just how wrong would this be? I took those findings and created a first-of-its-kind conceptual framework which maps these areas of concern so we can effectively target and address gambling-related harm amongst women in the future. And now because of this, we're ahead of the game, deflating that balloon before it ever gets a chance to burst. Before I leave you, I want to remind you of this. You are not immune to addiction. This could impact me, you, my mum, your aunt, or our daughters. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you so much. A really, really fascinating topic. A really different topic for FameLab as well. Brilliant. Jonathan, you want to ask the first question?
Yeah, thank you, Erin.
Thank you.
Is there any evidence of this being international, other countries having similar sort of findings to the island of Ireland that you're saying about here?
Yes, so particularly within the literature, there's been an ongoing gendered bias against women. And a lot of research is kind of centred around men, particularly through things like sports betting, etc., which is why there's been a real neglect of female samples. There's been a growing prevalence of increasing addictions, particularly in the likes of Sweden and Australia. But my research is the first research that's actually pioneered this across the island of Ireland and addressed this really urgent issue.
Thank you so much. Vic, do you have a question?
Oh, well, I'll have to have one now that you've directed it to me.
Hold them.
No,
You're either going to ask a question or
as a psychologist, I'm wondering what's the pathway to recovery in terms of addictions? Is it different in terms of gambling in comparison? You made a contrast alcoholism.
Yes.
What's that pathway look like?
Yes, so it is a little bit different, and it's something that I looked at throughout the framework that I built out with my PhD. In terms of the recovery pathways, it differs from men to women. Men usually prefer the likes of Gamblers Anonymous groups where they can talk in groups. Women usually prefer one-to-one counselling, and that was very popular amongst the participants in my study. and it just depends, but it's not a like-for-like situation, and that's really the importance of doing gendered research, because these experiences do not run in parallel to one another between men and women. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Another round of applause, please, for Erin.